I'm Kitty Green, and I directed a movie called The Royal Hotel, which is screening at TIFF. The Royal Hotel is about two American girls who are pretending they're Canadian, and they're backpacking in Australia. They ran out of money, and they have to take a job in an outback mining town in a pub, dealing with a lot of the men, unruly men. I'm Australian, but I'd never made a movie in Australia, so I wanted to. My mother was keen that I came back home for a bit, I kind of was looking for something I could do there, and I found a documentary that was about two Scandinavian women who are working in an outback pub, and I thought it was kind of an interesting. I hadn't seen that point of view. I could seen a lot of films in the outback, but never through like a female lens. So I thought that was an interesting kind of jumping off point for a screenplay. So I started writing something. Well, I was kind of unsure about whether I wanted to do. I saw this documentary and I thought I'd want to maybe adapt it, but I wasn't 100% on it. And I worked with a company called Seesaw, and they were interested in. Ian Canning had seen The Assistant and was like, "Do you want to do something in Australia? We have an Australian office." And so I floated it by some people at Seesaw, and they seemed to like the idea. So I started sort of developing it. I brought on a co-writer because I needed someone who'd spent a lot of time out in regional Australia. Oscar Redding, who's brilliant and crazy. And the two of us kind of put the script together. It was quite quick, really, the process. He was because he was in Australia and I was in New York at the time, and I would write all day and then send it to him, and he'd write all my night, which is Australian day, and so we'd kind of constantly be kind of fighting over this script. But yeah, I mean, I guess we took kind of the premise and kind of some early story beats, and then we sort of turned it into our own thing, really. Yeah. Well, I'd worked with Julia Garner before, and I was looking for an excuse to work with her again. So I think this project was also attractive to me because she could play the role. And then I was looking for a co-lead, and I needed someone that would fit in with her. And I found Jessica Henwick, who's amazing, and she just naturally had energetically felt like the right fit, not only for the role, but just to fit in with Julia and I on set and feel like part of a trio. And she was fabulous. And then I had to cast a bunch of men, and I found the most beautiful, lovely, kind guys in Australia to kind of populate our cast. Yeah, so we were really lucked out. We shot in Adelaide. We built the interiors of the pub in Adelaide, and we shot most of the exteriors in an outback, like an abandoned pub a few hours north of. It's not really outback, to be honest. It's just a few hours north of Adelaide, but it was a remote location. It's a bit of a culture clash movie. It's sort of exploring power dynamics and and gender dynamics and it's doing a lot of things. I hate summarizing it, sorry, but we're trying to throw a bunch of stuff at you, and it's a bit of a wild ride. I like a little more control than I get in documentary, so I think fiction is lovely because I get to kind of fuss over every frame. I'd like to continue making fiction, but I could make docs again. I had a good time making documentaries. I was sort of unaware of what happened with this. It was sort of a weird one because it mostly screened in the film industry and within, at the Telluride Film Festival, which is all film executives. Most of them had worked at the Weinstein Company, and all of them were traumatized at the time. And so it was really hard to gauge how much people, I didn't know if anyone enjoyed, it's not really an enjoyable movie. So it was hard to tell what reaction it was having. It wasn't until, to be honest, it's not until lately, like when She Said came out, everyone started talking about The Assistant again and going, oh no, at the time. But at the time, I think there was a lot of trauma, and it was a hard movie to make. And so I think it was hard to really see where it sits. But it seems to be remembered fondly, which is a sign it's still got a life, actually, which is good. I'm attracted to subjects that I find interesting, and I guess I like to be a little bit provocative. I mean, it's 3 years of your life to make a movie, so it's nice to make a little bit of a bang, I don't know, or a little bit of a mess as you do it. So I don't know, I guess it's just something, I don't know, naturally I seem to gravitate towards these things that are a little, Well, we have a great relationship. We don't need to communicate that much at this point. We kind of, I don't know actually, to be honest, how much of it's her and how much of it's me. We're kind of so interlinked at this point. But also, I mean, her face is incredible. It's like I can kind of, my movies hang on her expressions, basically her watching a room and assessing an environment and whether it's threatening or not that's what I do. That's my whole kind of body of work now. I don't know. We'd like to keep doing them. Hopefully they'll keep letting us make movies. Honestly, I don't get the budgets to have room to play. I really have very minimal coverage. We shot this one in 25 days. We shot the assistant 18 days. Like, there's not enough room to try things. We just have to be very specific about what we need. So I'm very kind of precise, I guess, and I pre-plan everything and then figure out how to execute it on the day. And then, you run out of time, you got to cut shots, and you got to figure out then how to cover things. It becomes a very technical exercise, I guess. I'm hoping as I keep going that I get a little more time to I'd love to have more surprises and things like that. But you just need a touch more money, I think, to do that. Yeah, I don't know. It seems to be going quite well. The reviews were great. We're feeling good, and I like the reactions from people. And it's a different from the assistant. Everyone was afraid to walk up to me or something, and this one, everyone's grabbing me and saying they enjoyed it, which is great. I still, I'm still figuring out why. Whether that's like, what the reason is there. It's tricky because I technically made it for an Australian audience, so I'm looking forward to getting home to Australia to screen it and seeing what it does there. And we've tested it. We've done test screenings and things in Australia, so we kind of know how it plays, but we'll see when it's a bigger group what happens. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's weirdly like, I love it when women love it and say, oh, I get it, and that's what I went. But I also like, it's not that clearly divided along gender lines, so who knows? I just like it when anyone sort of can relate to it. Look, it's a it's a complicated one, but it's a film about like a certain aspect of sort of behavior. It's about sort of an aggression that's associated with drinking culture. And it's about sort of, I guess it sits in this kind of weird space of when I'll speak as a woman in a space like that. You're never quite sure if it's a joke or a threat or whether this kind of behavior is, how threatened you should feel and when you should speak up for yourself. So it's a film about that kind of the weird ambiguity of those spaces where you feel a little unsure and you're not sure, how seriously to take something. So it's sort of the film is about standing up for yourself and figuring out how to say no when it's enough. And I hope I thought people are kind of inspired by that or, can, go enjoy it, I guess.